Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be reviewing another tragic case with you. I'm worn out. I have no idea how long this will last, and why am I waiting? I was truly in love with him. I adored him unconditionally. True enough, I was too young a girl when we got married, standing in front of the altar, and I vowed to God that I would love him forever, with heaven being the only place that would separate us. His parents, damn them. Why am I unable to undo it? Does keeping those pledges mean I have to torment myself every single day? Just as he doesn't love me, I haven't loved him in a very long time. His parents, our kids, and himself are the only people he loves. Who, though, will love me? I feel as though even God has abandoned me during these dark times. How else could he have sent me to this family, who don't even know who I am, and only acknowledges my existence when they are in need? Summer, clean this up. Summer, take out the trash. Summer, damn it, can you stop stomping your feet so loud? I have had enough. I have to take the kids, tell Will everything, and leave this house. However, who will let me to leave, particularly with the children? I'm not even allowed to leave the house by Will's dad. At the very least, I hope I live. Summer Inman wrote this post in her private journal, which she concealed from her spouse and his parents. This diary was the one space she felt free to share her ideas, without fear of criticism or worse punishment. Logan, Ohio, 1983. A brand new evangelical church named Tabernacle of Faith debuts in a tiny American town of barely 40,000 people. None of the locals had ever heard of it before. David Oyedepo, the church's founder, arrived in the town from Nigeria and told the audience that he had an 18-hour encounter with God, during which the Almighty informed him that it was time to use prayer and preaching to set the globe free from the devil's tyranny. Because of David Oyedepo's powerful preaching style, the Tabernacle of Faith Church gained a lot of popularity in Logan. This church served as the meeting place for Bill and Sandra Inman. At that point, Bill had turned 18, and he spent Sundays playing music at the church. Sandra went to church with her parents as well. Sandra remembers that her parents were very fond of the young musician parishioner, and they had no hesitation in letting the young people perform at their wedding a year later. Will was the son of Bill and Sandra. As per the family customs, Will was born alongside his parents, attended church, and at the age of 17, he met a very young 15-year-old Summer Cook in the Tabernacle of Faith, exactly like his father had. Young folks were patient and waited till Summer became 18 before getting married. Will's parents insisted that the young folks move in with them after their wedding in 2004. Naturally, Summer did not appreciate this notion, but her husband could not go against his father because he was so reliant on him. She so moved into the Inman family's home and left her parents' home behind. Another significant event in the Inman family's history happens in that same year. After converting the family garage, which was once used as a workshop, into a self-proclaimed church, Bill starts his own flock. According to Summer Inman's diary, Will's father has changed a lot. I literally don't recognize him. Tonight at family dinner, he told us that he hears the voice of God in his dreams and that he wants to share this revelation with others for their own good. Will himself seems to realize that his father is becoming a religious fanatic. I've seen him roll his eyes, but what can he say against it? Yes, Bill Inman's proposal may appear irrational to some, like Summer, but the people showed up in large numbers to his garage, where they worshipped, paid close attention to their leaders' talks, and even donated. Will and Summer welcomed their first son in 2005. They gave him the name Alex. However, everyone soon discovered that their family was having serious financial difficulties when the baby was delivered. It was forbidden for the ladies to work any place. They were forced to perform only housework, and Will's infrequent part-time jobs and parishioner donations could not support 4 adults and 1 child. Bill announced they were relocating to Florida during a family council. Bill and Will worked as construction workers in Florida, while the women remained at home to care for Alex. From Summer's journal, the transfer to Florida didn't bring about much of a difference. Will and his father were at work all day, while Sandra and I stay at home with Alex all day and night. When is Will going to grow up and be on his own? I don't believe I can wait for that. Bill Inman leaves Florida after realizing that it is impossible to make a lot of money there. However, their Logan home was seized due to unpaid taxes, and the court decided that its eventual redemption was prohibited. They then relocated to Vinton, which is close to Logan, to a rented home in the country. Summer gives birth to 2 daughters there as well, Kelly and Alana. In 2010, Bill Inman, who is currently officially the leader of Tabernacle of Faith Church, and his wife Sandra, register Mercy Ranch as a non-profit organization. Summer's diary reads, "We still don't have any money. Will wants me to have 12 children for him. I sometimes laugh in his face, which he takes offense to, and sometimes even stops talking to me. He gets the bright idea to construct a home for widows, orphans, and the destitute on behalf of the church. Naturally, though, the idea was unfunded. But the new boss managed to get out of this jam. He created a lottery in which the winner will receive a grand total of $200,000, while the other 99 will receive equally great rewards. Bill intended to spend the remaining money to construct the home of his dreams. Bill personally knocked on people's doors and initially invited them to take part in the charity lottery. He also ran radio and television advertisements. The outcome was breathtaking. Bill Inman was successful in raising $1 million. As you may have predicted, there was no drawing in September 2010, October 2010, or November 2010, despite the big prize drawing being scheduled for that month. Bill Inman did nothing more than con the people who put their trust in him, and he had no intention of giving the money back to them. Adam Peters is hired by Will's father around this time to handle other domestic duties, including the gardening on their property. Adam starts to feel sorry for Summer because he sees her all the time. He is unaware that Summer and Will are going through a difficult time in their relationship. Still, he persists and shows the young woman that he is paying attention. Summer eventually filed for divorce. She headed to her parents with the kids in tow. It was then that she secured her first job ever, as a bank cleaner. Regretfully, she lacked schooling and employment experience beyond child rearing due to her early marriage and continuous confinement at the Inman residence. Thus, Summer wasn't expecting to land a higher-paying job, but she was secretly relieved that she didn't since, for the first time in a long time, she felt autonomous and no one had to tell her anything. She did not mind her father seeing the kids as much as he felt appropriate, even if she harbored hatred toward Will. She felt the children needed their father just as much as their grandparents. In fact, Bill Inman showed the kids a great deal of love and care, even though he was a despotic man. It was silly to dispute this. A bailiff showed up at the Inman residence one day in December 2010 and gave the family a notice to vacate due to unpaid rent. After learning about it, Summer visited the house to gather whatever she hadn't had time to pack before moving in with her parents. She contacted Adam to help her pack because it was unsettling to show up at a residence where she was now being held as a traitor. The Inman family wouldn't allow anyone inside the house after they noticed that Summer had come with her new partner. Curses of all kinds were flung at them, and they vowed to burn everything that Summer had in the house in the backyard. Will even assaulted and even beat up a policeman who arrived. Thus even the authorities were powerless to resolve the issue. Adam, meantime, yelled that he would track him down and murder him after being horrified by what he had witnessed. Summer made the decision to report her spouse that same day. She made it clear in it that Will had changed forever and that he had not fully taken control of her until after the wedding. He managed her calls, texts, emails, and even her lunch break, dictating how much food she had to eat, how long she had to take a shower, and how much time she could spend outside. He would sometimes even take her phone away from her, and Summer would sometimes go a week without speaking to anyone, not even her own parents. Not wanting to hide from Summer, he registered on dating sites, posted personal images of himself, and publicly interacted with other women. He also told her that he intended to find a second wife. Summer expressed her desire for a divorce frequently in her diary. Yet she felt terrified. It made sense to be afraid. Will had threatened to shoot her multiple times if she got a divorce. After interviewing a terrified Summer, who had carried the terror for so long, the police returned to the Inman residence. When asked, Will said that he had taken his wife's phone away, but only to prevent her from talking to her partner every single day. He did monitor her eating, but only because he was concerned about her well-being. The authorities didn't think his explanations were plausible, so they banned him from seeing his ex-wife and issued a fine and probation in response to his actions. The Inman family composed a response, but it was already directed at Adam Peters, since they could not continue to deny what they perceived to be their son's maltreatment. They said in their statement that he had an unhealthy interest in Summer's small children when he was working in their home, and that having kids around him afterwards could have negative consequences. Naturally, their fictions were not verified. The worst thing that ever happened to Summer occurred after that. On March 22, 2011, just before midnight, Summer was wrapping up her work at the bank located in the center of Logan. By that point, the branch itself had closed, so all she needed to do was dust and empty the rubbish from her desk. She contacted Adam, telling him she would be home soon and that she didn't have much time left. Nightfall had fallen by 12 o'clock. Summer was running late, but she was never late before. Adam was starting to become really concerned. You never knew what this Will would be up to. Peters made the choice to see Summer. At that point, the ward's doors were shut and the windows were empty, indicating that Summer wasn't present. After circling the building in search of someone, Adam headed to the dumpsters where the young woman was removing the bags of rubbish that had gathered throughout the day. He found Summer's belongings, her pocketbook, her cell phone, and her red jacket laying in the grass a little further away from her belongings. But she wasn't there either, next to the bins. There was not a moment to pause. Without delay, he called the police number. After searching the possessions when the police arrived, they knocked on the bank and spoke with the security guards, who informed them that Summer had left more than an hour earlier, and they had not seen her since. 3 figures stepped closer under the police car's lights. It transpired that they had seen the kidnapping. While on their evening jog, the 2 women noticed that despite the darkness, a white Ford pulled up to the bank cleaner's house. 2 guys wearing black masks got out of the car and shoved the screaming woman into the back seat. Another witness saw the woman cry and rushed to the car to try to help her, but the blonde woman driving hit him in the face with a gas can, causing him to fall to the ground and the kidnapper's car to drive away. Since the women didn't have phones, they hurried to the closest police station, where they tried to explain what they had witnessed to each other, while getting quite upset in the process. The on-duty police officers only scoffed at their account, gullibly thinking the night runners were making it all up. Who would consider taking garbage bags in the hands of a bank clerk and kidnapping her? However, the narrative proved out to be entirely true. Furthermore, it was now impossible to track Summer down on a hot lead due to the police's tardiness. Logan is a little town, as I've already mentioned. For this reason, overnight, word of Summer's kidnapping by 3 mysterious guys spread across the village. Proactive citizens have formed groups to look for the missing woman by dawn. After searching parks, empty lots, and abandoned warehouses, they were unable to locate Summer. Will Inman sought to stop paying his child support a week before she vanished. He requested that the payment be lowered to $150 for the 3 children overall, as he only received $500 per month, even though the court ruling required him to pay $150 for each child. In addition, Will requested sole custody of his kids, a request that the court rejected. Summer lived a lengthy, secluded existence, thus she didn't communicate with anyone, so the Inman family was the only ones the police suspected. They were discovered in Bill's mother's home in a nearby town. All 3 stated that they were in Cleveland on the day of the kidnapping, and that they had not heard anything about the disappearance. Sadly, they were never able to arrive because their car broke down en route, and they were concerned that they might be left overnight on a deserted highway until morning, so they were forced to return to Logan. In addition, their old animosity toward Adam reappeared, and they started blaming him for everything. The automobile breakdown was not verifiable, but as the suspects were being questioned, the police noticed a white Ford in the yard that closely matched the description provided by the kidnapping witnesses. A GPS device was removed from the vehicle at that point. It had been switched off during Summer's kidnapping. It was discovered after the inspection. In addition, the police made the decision to examine the Inman family's cell phones, which showed that they had stayed in Logan that evening. Soon after, police learned that the white Ford had stopped at a car wash at 7:30 a.m. on the morning of Summer's disappearance, and that Bill, Sandra, and Will had all been inside dry cleaning the car. The entire family was brought into custody and questioned. As the police dragged him away, Bill yelled at his ailing mother that they had done nothing wrong and that the devil was to blame, whom he and his fellow parishioners were fighting. The Inmans did the same thing at the police station as if they were under a spell, and Sandra only claimed responsibility when it was obvious they had no other option and would soon be put to death. From Sandra Inman's testimony, kidnapping Summer was my idea. It was my idea, and I was driving the white Ford that night. Of course, neither of us planned to kill Summer. I swear it was an accident. On the night of March 22nd, we drove up to the bank where Summer worked and waited a long time for her to finally finish her shift. At about 11 p.m., we saw her near the garbage cans near the bank. I drove up to her, and my husband Bill and son Will, who hid their faces under black masks, pushed Summer into the car. Again, We had no intention of killing her. The only thing we wanted was for her to let us see the kids, since we are family. Will, in an act of intimidation, tied Summer's hands and feet with plastic ties to keep her from running away. Apparently, one of the ties he tightened around her neck, he overestimated his strength, and Summer began to choke, and her face began to turn red. Will wanted to cut the tie, but he couldn't find a knife, and the knife we were taking with us had gotten under my seat, and when he did find it, it was too late. Summer was dead. Sandra Inman showed the place where they hid Summer's body. The location of the old well was next to the Tabernacle of Faith Church. Yes, the same church where Will and Summer met, as well as Bill and Sandra, where they had both been married and frequented for years to pray and confess. The autopsy verified what Sandra had said. Yes, Summer had asphyxiated to death. Her body had no more wounds discovered. Bill and Will Inman were given life sentences in 2012, and Sandra Inman, who accepted full responsibility, was also given a life sentence. However, after 15 years, the court granted her plea for parole. For what reason is that the case? Presumably because the ladies in the Inman family never made any decisions, according to family members. The entire family dutifully followed Bill's orders, and if there was a spiteful scheme to reclaim the kids, it was his. Sandra accepted responsibility in an attempt to preserve her husband and son, but she was never successful. I appreciate you everyone watching. Join the channel by subscribing. There are a ton of amazing tales up ahead.